Just building up some muscle structure to just give it some sort of like you know, basis in reality. Some biceps right here. Nothing in particular. Whenever I see that it's missing something somewhere, then I'll just hit at it. If I feel like, oh, this spot's missing, I'm just going to add some more in that area. Depends on what I'm spotting. But at this point, I guess it's the mostly the shoulders, the rib cage. How I work, I usually just build up a basic outline, and from that point, I get to realize what muscle groups need more attention, and I'll just fill that in. But it's not like, oh, I'm going to lay down a strip of muscle here and then that's going to solve the case. Because in the whole process of sculpting, things get moved around and squished and moved out of placement and stuff like that. And maybe sometimes my finger or hand might bump into a spot where it creates a little divot. I'll just have to pay attention during the whole process to figure out, like, oh, okay, this spot got bumped or this spot needs a little bit more attention. So right now I'm just basically going over the whole scope, spotting these certain areas that need a little bit more clay, they might need a little bit more attention. Just go over it. How far can I push them? Not too much, because when I applied the first layer of clay, it wasn't necessarily too much. I applied a thin layer so that it gave me more leeway to build upon rather than taking it out. If I had to take out clay, that would have been a little bit more tedious. But at this point, I'm building up more than I'm taking out. So that's all right. Because if I had to take out, I'm cutting into the dry part of the clay, which is now going to be more of a hassle since it's more tough to take out. So I try to keep that in mind. Don't have to build too much in the beginning because you'll have plenty of opportunity to build upon it. What I do want to do is cover up any spots with like certain openings, cracks, or tinfoil showing through. Yeah, tinfoil showing through, you probably want to cover all of that up. You could always use stronger wire, thicker wire, or maybe two wires together, or maybe even four wires together to get a thicker, stronger wire. But in my experience, it's always going to end up kind of wobbly sometimes. For me, it's not really something that makes any difference to the actual sculpt. But having a wobbly sculpt mm, is not a big deal as long as your sculpt dries and dries properly so that it doesn't wobble too much. If it wobbles too much, you might see some cracking going on here, but at this point, I don't think it would crack too much, if any. And I'm talking when it dries because I'm using the flexible clay as well. And that kind of like, that's the good thing about flexible clay. It prevents it from cracking too much. Well, how I see it is that this creature is probably hiding in the mud somewhere in a swamp. And maybe he spotted some prey that's swimming up above and he's just trying to go after it before it gets away. I'm trying to go for like more amphibian like characters with this one. But not regular amphibian. It's got this prehistoric feel, I think. Of course, it's got to make sense story wise first. If the character or the design, you know, loses uh, loses the audience because it's just not fitting to the story, that's a big no-no. You know, whenever I create, I want to make sure that it serves the story. It serves its purpose in the story. Because if I throw in a character that it's a aquatic character, but what's he doing in the mountains? You know, it doesn't match up. So I would design accordingly to his environment, what he likes to eat, where he lives. You know, I take that into consideration. And I feel that's the right way to go about it. Because you're trying to build a character that feels real. Here I have the same type of clay that I've mixed in with water. And this is what I use to brush on to kind of smooth some of that evenness out. Try to blend in some of these spots where it kind of feels a little rough. But I also could come in and add a little bit more texture. Soften some of that surface and make it look more organic. So at this point, I've gotten the anatomy to where I feel like, okay, it's working pretty well, and I got to where I want it. Um, any anything that I wanted it to have, I've already placed hints down for me to pay attention to within our next session. So, meaning that I've gotten these elbows kind of like flaring with extra flab. It's almost like it has its own fin growing out of its elbow. Um, Texturing on the head a bit. I have yet to add a little bit more to the calves, but I think I've pretty much gotten it to where I'm happy to let it rest and dry out a bit. And when I come back for the next session, I'll be able to dish out more of the detail and make sure the muscle structure shines through. I'm pretty pleased with what I got right now. So I'll see you guys for the next show.